9:36 now here on AM 1150, 101.7 FM, and WDEL.com. Hey, thanks for joining us this morning, Thursday, March 16th on Delaware. Number of Americans filing for unemployment benefits tumbled a little bit last week. The Department of Labor saying that there were 192,000 jobless claims filed in the week ending March 11th, down about 20,000 from the week prior. We like to, on occasion, kind of keep you up to speed on what's roiling in the job market in case you are making 2023 that year. You want to find a new gig, or you're unemployed currently and most certainly need one out of necessity. So we call in Chris Burkhard, Placer Staffing in Newark, to throw some wisdom at us on mornings like this. Hey, Chris, good morning.
Good morning, Pete. It's my favorite day of the month to be with you.
All right, good deal. Glad to have you, certainly. And I'm glad I do, because from where I'm sitting here, Chris, there's this, I guess you'd call it a labor market conundrum that's being reported on. Why don't we just start with that? What does that mean when they're talking about that?
Well, sure is fun to say, right? Conundrum. Yeah. So you have Powell and the Fed that are doing everything they can to kind of slow things down, and they're doing that by raising interest rates. And normally when you do that, we stop going to the store and buying sofas and TVs, but it usually slows down hiring. So the conundrum is, January there's 500,000 jobs created. February there's 311,000. Normally there's less jobs being advertised. There's still over 10 million. People stop quitting jobs. People are still quitting jobs at kind of a record pace. So the conundrum is for the Fed is this is different. This kind of feels like it hasn't happened very much, if at all. Normally you pull one lever, make things more expensive, and it slows down hiring. But in reality, there are a whole lot of industries like the service industry, like hotels, retirement homes, restaurants, professional services that had a lot of jobs to fill, and they're still on hiring sprees. And, layoffs are increasing, but they're still historically low.
It's just amazing. And, I don't know if you and I have talked about this specifically, but it just seems to me that with what's happening with the job market, and a lot of it is so good, and what's been happening with interest rates, and a lot of that is so painful for people, it almost seems like we're setting up this recessionary period ourselves just by our perception of what's going on out there. Like the reality almost is not as dire as we're hearing a lot of analysts say it is, but yet they say it and then we believe it.
Pete, I wrote something last week that's a little bit of a mind bender, and it's sort of along the lines of what you're saying. I said that I don't think there's going to be a recession until we all believe we're out of the woods and there's not going to be one.
Well put. See, that's what I needed. I needed that nugget to just kind of allay some of my concerns about my mind and how it operates, But, yeah, very interesting. Well, we do have layoffs increasing. Meta's going back at it again. And it brings up some questions for job seekers. Popular interview starter question, so tell me about yourself. What exactly is the best answer or approach when you start getting into that kind of a thing?
This is like the number one question that the workforce asks us. So my staffing team helps people with interviews, and this question is just so common. And I think it's the easiest way for an interviewer to start. I'm not going to say it's lazy, but it's just hard. You're sitting across from a stranger, and it just, for whatever reason, it's kind of this contrived thing that we do. But folks have a really hard time with it because do I talk about my resume? Do I talk about myself? It's really odd. So here's a couple quick hitting suggestions. Keep it short, just around 2 minutes. You want to keep the person across from you interested, and if you're losing them, you're going on too long or you're not answering the question. But when asked this question, kind of understand that it's about your ability to talk and connect and maybe your social skills, and they're evaluating whether you're a cultural fit for the business. Is this someone I like? Do I want to work with them? Will they fit with my team? But I really think you're not regurgitating what's on your resume. Yeah. It's giving you a chance to introduce yourself beyond general facts, and it's just a great way for you to differentiate and maybe share a little bit about what's unique about you.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I don't know if you'd call it a throwaway question, but it's, as you said, a convenient question to ask, but your answer actually means something.
Well, because some people end up, I've been around a while, so I end up going through 12 different jobs and, 6 companies, and before you know it, you're done. When in reality, it's just, can you handle the moment and can you share a few things that differentiate? And I would only say this, if any job seeker wants training or help with interviewing, I got lots of stuff on the My Placers website.
Cool.
I'm pretty accessible. You can, frankly, it needs to be given away, democratized. Everybody should have the same information to get jobs.
I think to some degree, COVID brought some of this frame of mind about, but in regards to quality of life and within your working world, I saw your recent Outside Insights blog where you were talking about kind of living the life you want versus the one that you have. Can you highlight a few of those key points about living that life you want, some advice for people out there?
Well, it's probably a little gutsy, right, to write something like that. But over 50 years in, a multi-generational business, we've been around and helped thousands of job seekers. And I've learned a few things. And I've learned that people start with thinking that they want a job. Yet folks think that the life they want will be satisfied by that job. Well, it's the right start, right? But most of us get into life and we want to get and things kind of get away from us. We get busy, we work all the time, we race through the week, we get to the weekend, we start thinking about what we really want. But before you know it, it's Sunday night and we're back at work again. So there's this big gap between what we want versus where we are. And I see it all the time, and it's the thing that nobody really wants to talk about because it's a lot more fun to plan a vacation or a wedding or a birthday party. So if folks don't spend time on themselves, they're going to be distracted by every new idea and shiny object. So one exercise I was taught, write down 5 people you know, or you don't know, but you admire them, and then write down 3 qualities you like about them. Those 15 qualities or traits are who you really want to be. So if anybody wants more stuff on getting to where they want to be, lots of stuff on the website. I have an audio book called Opposite the Crowd with my dad, and it's all about this kind of stuff. But I'm happy to share a message, and the purpose is just to help people figure out who they want to be and how they get there.
See, that's great, Chris. I was wondering where you were going with that. That list allows you to individualize kind of the kind of traits that you're talking to, because for some people, work offers that constructive element of their life that they really need. And for others, it's a stressor, and the less the better in a lot of ways. So by doing what you're talking to, you really do get to the crux of what works or will work for you.
And people need to spend time on themselves. It could be journaling. There's all kinds of prompts. I can introduce more over time if you'll have me back, but it's that people have to not get distracted by life, but just know what they want and who they are. And you'd be surprised how people are kind of afraid to stare that down.
Absolutely. I don't doubt that for a minute. Yeah, guys, listen, it's the name of the blog that Chris is referencing here. It's called Outside Insights. Outside Insights. I've been checking it out for a while now, and you should as well, because it's just filled with little nugs like the one we just offered up there. So Chris Burkhard, Placer Staffing, always a pleasure, and you and I will talk again soon, Chris.